Welcome to our apartment setup in our New York studios. In this segment, we're going to be talking about the three-point lighting system. And we're going to start with the key light. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about something very important that we discussed before. And that is actually what is the most important part of filmmaking. Danny? Light. Obviously, this is a very dramatic way to talk about it. But without light, you actually cannot make films. You can make movies, you can create your self-tapes, you can create anything that requires a video signal coming in through a camera to entertain audiences. Let's start with the first light in a three-point lighting system, and that is the key light. So we're gonna have Claudia here bring in our key light instrument, and I'm gonna make this example with our studio lights, but then we're going to flip everything, and I'll show you with a more affordable setup that you actually probably have at home with your self-tape setups. I will show you how you can actually create the same setup for your phone. In this example, we're going to show you a side-by-side with the iPhone and the A7S so you can compare how minute the differences are when you actually master techniques of lighting. So let's fire up our key light right now. Thank you so much. This key light is actually the 120D. All of the gear that I'm showing you here, you can find on links on our website. You'll be able to buy them through our affiliate links. We have on top of this key light, on top of this 120D, or attached to it, we have a light dome. Both of these instruments are from Aputure. And Aputure is a really important company right now in lighting because they create really affordable light solutions for your kits. All right, so here we have the light dome set up on the Aputure 120D. And what it does, it actually softens the light that comes in. So let's talk about some basic rules for the key light. You want to set it up at a 45-degree angle. We're a little bit too frontal right now. So Claudia, let's have the light on a 45-degree. Great. And we'll talk about this because this is a very important thing to discuss. You want to put it in a 45-degree angle because we're trying to create a cross key. And what does that mean? A cross key means that your light instrument and the camera are in crosshairs with one another. So they're not really, one is set on either side. And what this does, it creates a shadow side, which is a very desirable effect when you're shooting a cinematic scene, okay? If the light was set up on the other side, it might create a different effect, but for our purposes, we're trying to create a more dramatic look, a more cinematic look, and that is great to do with a cross key, or how I like to call it, the dark side of the moon. But we'll get to that in a minute. So you wanna set up your key at a 45-degree angle, and you wanna make sure that it's nice, soft, as close as possible to the subject so you can turn the intensity down so you're actually preventing from a lot of light spillage spilling on the background. Funny thing is, I do get a little bit of light still spilling on the background, and that there is a reason for it. And the reason for that is because we don't have any attachment or any modifier on this instrument. Claudia, do you mind just kind of showing everyone what it looks like? Yeah, great. So as you can tell here, there's just a silk in front, right? But there's really no modifier on it, right? It's just, there's no light modifier like an egg crate or a honeycomb, something that can direct the light to where you want it to go. It's nice and soft, but it's also spilling all over the place, okay? This is a great solution to have, and you don't have to have a light modifier if you want to really soften up the light. Before we get to the light modifier, I'll show you something else. We're actually gonna take the light dome off, and I'll show you how harsh the light is without this light dome. Yep. Let's get a 45-degree angle on it and reposition it to where it was supposed to be. Great. As you can tell, this light is burning our subject, Inagite, and it's not really flattering. It creates a very big shadow on the floor here. It spills all over the place. It's not a desirable effect. You always want to have a big, soft light on your key light. Very, very important. So let me show you with the modifier, and first show the camera the modifier on the dome. This is a Godox dome, but you can actually get the same egg crate modifier also on the light dome 2. But this one we already have set up just for the ease of it, and we'll show you how that looks like in camera when we change it, all right? So as you can already tell, right, the modifier played a very big role in eliminating some of the shadow that's happening in the background. What's happening is actually because of these little egg crates or what have you, they're actually eliminating light from coming from the side, and they're directing them forward onto the subject. What they're also doing, they are slowly and gradually eliminating some of the spillage that's happening in the background because the intensity starts dwindling down. They get sucked by these black egg crates over here, and it creates a really nice soft spillage on everything. Now you ask yourself, well, okay, I have my key light on a 45-degree angle. I set it up correctly. I bought the egg crate, you know, although guy told me not to buy the egg crate, but I still don't know how am I going to know that my key light is set up in the proper way. Well, there are two techniques that we're going to talk about right now. And the first one is called the twinkle. And the twinkle is really a term that we coined for a thing called a catch light, or a term called the catch light. And the catch light is that little twinkle that happens in the person's eyes. Now, there are two reasons why the twinkle may not appear. The first reason is that you are an actor with inset eyes, right? A lot of dramatic actors like Leonardo DiCaprio has inset eyes, and Tom Cruise have those eyes. It's very cinematic, but it's harder to get that catch light with actors who have a little bit more inset eyes. That's number one. Number two is because you didn't position your key in a low enough angle so the pupil can actually catch that light. So let's let me show you. We'll boom up so you can actually we can get that twinkle out of there for a moment. Yeah, as you can tell, the twinkle is not there anymore. Thanks, Danny. And let's like boom it down slowly. And look at that twinkle come back. Man, that is fabulous. That is a fantastic twinkle right there. So that is one parameter that can help you figure out if you're setting up your key light in the right way. Another parameter to help you with that is the triangle, or it's basically the dark side of the moon, the dark side of the face, and you're going to look at the cheek. Right? You're going to look at your cheek right here. You're going to make sure that you're not losing that eye on the dark side of the moon, right? And that you're getting this soft triangle on the cheek. So there's this dark side right here. You're not losing any of the right eye, and you have that side of the face. Okay? So let's summarize everything that we just spoke about. The key light is the first light that you're going to set up in your self-taping or your shooting of a scene. You are going to position it at a 45-degree angle. That's a great spot to put your light. You're going to try to get it as close as possible to your subject without actually having it protrude in the scene. You're going to want to make it as soft as possible. So you're going to use a modifier such as the Light Dome 2 or the Godox with the egg crate diffusion. And then you're going to think about, am I getting a twinkle? Am I getting that triangle, right? The last thing I want to talk about real quick is that dark side of the moon. The reason why we're setting up the camera, right, basically across from the key, right? We're setting the camera across from the key is because it creates a very cinematic look. If you're ever in a bind and you're trying to shoot a scene and you're like, why is this, that doesn't look cinematic? Always remember, start with your key and position your camera at a cross key so you're gonna get that shadow side. That creates a beautiful cinematic image. So now that we've set up our key light and we know the basic rules for it, right? Let's get on with the fill.